Hey everybody, today I want to talk to you about being arrogant in the Philippines, being a procrastinator and not having patience. And we're going to talk about a person I know named Andy, not a close friend, but an acquaintance. And we're also going to touch on Ted, who was the overstay gentleman who overstayed his visa 7 or 8 years here in the Philippines. And I did a video about him. And also we'll talk a little bit about Barry Jordan for those of you who know Barry Jordan. It's my first time to talk about Barry. So Andy is an arrogant guy. I met Andy when I first came to Dumaguete, and he's just arrogant. You know, he's the kind of guy you sit down and you have coffee with, and the conversation will come up. Man, I want to go get, what's the best restaurant to eat at? And he would tell you where he goes. And I would go, and I would say, oh, I tried that place, I didn't like it. Oh, you're crazy, it's the best restaurant. And it would get into a little heated debate, so I would always have to just back off and say, yeah, maybe I'll give it another try. He was always right. And some of the biggest discussions we had, well, one-sided discussions, how to exchange your money, how to send your money here. Now, he's from North Texas, and I don't know what bank he uses, but I told him I use Wells Fargo, and I transfer my money over here on World Remit. Well, he was adamant. I was using the worst bank in the world, and World Remit was a thief. They charge you too much money, and maybe so, maybe not, but that's what works for me. That's what's best for me. And but with Andy, it was always what I use is best. He was very arrogant. Everything was best. And there was an incident at the mall where he was telling me he went into the mall, and this was just when the mask mandate was ending. The private businesses had the right to ask you to wear a mask. You know, you still, especially in a hospital or doctor's office, we would go into the mall, Janet and I, and they would want us to wear the mask. You know, you'd have your mask on, you'd drop the mask so they could see your face, and you would go on. But not Andy. Not Andy. He would argue, I'm not wearing a mask. And he would yell and carry a scene. And the security guys, most of the time when a foreigner wants to argue with them, they just put their hands up and say, go ahead. And they laugh at you as you're walking away. But they just don't want to have that discussion. And it's just not something they want to deal with as an angry foreigner. You know, their job, they don't make that much money to deal with you. And they go on, you can go in. So you think you won the battle. You won the war. I'm in here, I don't have a mask. And people are just laughing at you because you're breaking the rules, because you're arrogant. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about this rule, but it isn't the mask, it's the rule. You know, and you want to march to a different drummer, you're always right. And what happened to him at the bank, and we were going to have lunch. And we were going to meet at San Ravel at 11:30 in the morning, because I always like to get there before the lunch crowd, so I can get a seat. I don't have to wait out in the mall waiting for them to call me for a table. He had to go to the bank. He got there an hour before us. He had to do his banking, and we would meet at 11:30 in San Ravel. Well, I get a text. I'm going to be late. They're really effing slow here. And I go, no problem. I had my laptop. Janet had her phone. You know, we had plenty of things to do. I ordered drinks for me and Janet, and we had an appetizer. And he finally showed up an hour and a half late. Hour and a half late. And was mad. You could see in his face, tears almost coming out of it. And he sat down and said, that friggin' bank, you know, back home in Texas, I could go into the bank and in 10 minutes, I would have had everything done that I needed done. Well, one, you don't compare the Philippine banking system to American banking system. And so he, you know, after I just said, well, it's just the way it is, man. You know, you're not going to make them go faster. Matter of fact, you can make them go slower by arguing with them and causing drama. And he was just all flustered and mad, and it was good he didn't have a girlfriend. It was good he didn't have a girlfriend. I don't know how any woman could have put up with him. So he's sitting down, and he goes to order his food. Like Jan and I had our food. You know, we waited so long. We already ordered food. He ordered food, and the waiter goes, 25, 30 minutes. Oh my God, powder keg went off there. How long does it take to make a hamburger? 10 minutes at the most. You know, you guys are so slow. You guys don't know customer service. And Andy is just mad. How the hell can, and this is like 10-minute conversation about how long it takes to make a hamburger. And it's just draining having a friend that's so arrogant and likes to argue points and is so impatient with everything. And finally he got his food and we went to pay the bill. And I was going to leave a good tip. I was going to leave a big tip because that guy was waiting on me and Janet for a long time and taking care of us and providing good service. He started yelling at me how stupid I am to leave that kind of money for somebody. And I think it was like 200 or 300 pesos, $5 or $6 that I left somebody, you know. And the point of this video is he had to go to the LTO to get his motorbike registered. And he went there and the line was long and it's a complicated process. It's better now, but a year ago, it was not a better process. It was a slow, long, drawn out process, maybe 1 or 2 days, if you could get in at all that first day. You know, all the motorbikes, you know, they were short staffed because of the pandemic. They were, so many people were behind in the registration. The line was long at the TUBEBUDDY LTO, and he just got frustrated day after day. And I asked him, I go, did you get it done? He goes, no, that line. And he was so mad about that. He said, they can't even get new license plates. He didn't know you didn't get new license plates. You just got a new piece of paper. He was just mad at them because it took so long. He didn't get it done, and he was comparing everything to the process in the US. Well, I told him, use a fixer. Janet and I use a fixer. Use a fixer. She does all the legwork for you, does everything for you. Just give her some money. Oh no, I'm not paying extra. That's no way. They have to take care of this. I go, all right, time or money. You have the time. You go to the LTO. You wait in line. You go get your insurance. They double check your serial number sometimes on your motorbike. But he ended up not getting that done. He procrastinated. He goes, that line's too long. I'll wait a month. The line will be smaller. And back then, the lines were long. They were very long at the LTO and TUBEBUDDY. But the checkpoints back then weren't as severe as they are nowadays in the last 6 months. Before, you'd come up to a checkpoint, a lot of people would just wait them out a half hour and they'd pack up and they'd leave. Or as a foreigner, if you had your helmet on, you had shoes, they waved you through a lot of these checkpoints. And the couple that I got pulled over in, they just asked for my driver's license. And I said, yeah, I have one. And then they just sent me on they didn't even look at it. They just sent me on my way. Well, recently, and I'm showing you this checkpoint here that was in front of our house in Pampanga. And this has nothing to do with the checkpoint that Andy ended up with, but I just wanted to show you how people try to wait it out. People wait on the side of the road, and the LTO, the Highway Patrol, is getting strict on registrations and driver's license. I've been pulled over 3 times in 2024. All 3 times, it was not a wave through. It was get off your bike. I want to see your driver's license. I want to see your registration. They took that registration, they matched it to the license plate on the back, and then they let you go. So he ended up going through a checkpoint. Now his registration is lapsed. It's expired. He gets there, they ask him for his registration. He tells me, they were so rude to me. They were so rude. I tried to explain to them that the line is too long at LTO to get registration. I told them it's their fault. It's not my fault. And he even got mad and verbally argued with the police. I asked him, I said, Andy, did you yell at the cops? Because you're a hothead. You know, I just told him, you're a hothead. Did you yell? Were you polite and respectful to the police? No. I told them the way it was. It was their fault. I am not guilty here. The registration's left because they don't know how to get registrations done in time when I went to the LTO. So he's saying because he went there, he fulfilled the requirements. It's their fault that they weren't able to give him the registration. Well, they took his bike. They impounded his motorbike. And as a matter of fact, he said one of the policemen told him, I'm going to prosecute you. And I don't know what for. And he says, now he's sort of worried. The next day, they let him go. You know, they took his bike. They gave him some paperwork. He has to, you know, get the registration taken care of, get insurance, pay a bigger fine, and pay the impound fees. I have no idea what they are. But he's now worried that someone's going to prosecute him for, you know, verbal assault or whatever reason. You know, I said, you didn't touch the policeman, did you? He goes, no, I wouldn't touch an officer. But I did give him a piece of my mind. Well, who knows what's going to come out of that? And all of that comes out of the three things that he doesn't have going for him. One, he procrastinated. He could have got this LTO thing done. You would just have to go early, stay there all day in line, and get your shit done. Or go to another city. You don't have to get it done in Dumaguete. You could go up to Baez. You can go to Bayawan. Different cities that have LTOs with smaller lines, and got it done if you wanted to. Two, he has no patience. He has no patience to deal with the Philippine people. He has no patience to deal with the bureaucracy at the LTO. He has no patience to deal with the policeman pulling him over and saying, we're going to impound your bike. Your motorbike is leaving. And three, he's just arrogant. He's right. I tried to get it registered, but they wouldn't let me register it. The lines were too long. I had to wait too long. And all those things add up where it's going to make it rough for you as an expat in the Philippines. It's going to make it rough for you as an expat in the Philippines. And I want to touch on the procrastination. You know, that is what Ted did. And the link to that video is down below. Ted was an overstay. And I finally got hold of Ted in an email. And I'm going to make a video about my conversation via email with Ted. He went almost 8 years as an overstay because he procrastinated and procrastinated. And next thing you know, he was so far behind, he was scared to go there because they'll put you in jail. They'll put you in the Bureau of Immigration jail. Barry Jordan, he overstayed 7 years. And I just learned this. This is the first time I've seen this video. 7 years he overstayed. He did something wrong and the police came to him, and then they wanted to see his immigration status, his paperwork, and he didn't have any because he overstayed. And he just didn't want to pay. He thought, the longer I'm here, if I don't do nothing wrong, they'll never come to bother me and I can live here forever. And it doesn't work that way. Everything, you always get caught. You always get caught. Someday you do something wrong, or even if you're in an accident that's not your fault, the police are going to ask, oh, you're a foreigner. What is your immigration status? And it's not like in the US where there's these laws where the police can't ask you certain questions. You have certain rights. This is the Philippines. You have very few rights when it comes to the police and the laws here. You have to abide by the law. And if they want to see your immigration status, you have to show it to them on the spot. On the spot. So you should have a copy of any kind of immigration paperwork in your phone, in your wallet. You don't have to have the actual passport, your actual passport, a copy of it, the important pages, you know, have it in your phone. But don't put off doing things. Don't procrastinate, you know, going to immigration and paying, you know, your monthly immigration fee. If you think it's a hassle or you don't have money, it's going to catch up to you. And especially if it builds more and more, you know, you go, oh, I'm late 1 month. No big deal. You go down there, you pay the late fee, express fee, and on you go. You go on your way. But you go that 1 month and it turns into 3 months, 7 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Now you're in trouble. The Bureau of Immigration will want all their money. The Bureau of Immigration will hold you until they get all their money. And they'll end up sending you out of the country and blacklisting you from coming to the Philippines. But it's not that simple that they arrest you and put you on a plane the next day. You're going to have to hire a lawyer. You're going to have to pay some of this money. You're going to have to make the situation right before they release you to be deported out of the country. And I don't know who's going to help you. And I look at this Barry Jordan, when he was arrested for 6.5 year overstay, he said in this interview. He's sitting in a jail and he's relying on contributions from people to pay for his attorney, to bring him food, to bring him snacks, to help him out. He has no funds. So one, if you can't afford to be here, don't be here. But by procrastinating when he was late the first month, the very first month he was late, he should have done something. And once you got to like 3 or 4 months, you go see the immigration service and you tell them, and they'll tell you what you have to do. But if you let it go 4, 5, 6, 7 years, they have no choice but to put you in jail because you've shown a pattern of not obeying the laws here, and they'll have to hunt you down. And they're not going to do that. They'll just put you in that holding cell. And the holding cell doesn't look that bad, but I don't want to be in a holding cell in my retirement years. So don't procrastinate. Do everything you need to do here. Get your driver's license if you're going to ride around. Keep your bike, your car registered, up to date. Keep your insurance up to date. Obey the laws here. Obey the laws. You want to do everything legal here because we're a guest in this country. Even if you have an SRRV, permanent resident visa, you have to abide by these laws. And you're not going to be dealing with the overstay too much, but when you got to report once a year or whatever you have to do that. You can't just skip out on your obligations and taking care of the legal end of your immigration status. And driving, the government is making it a point to be very strict on getting all these cars and motorbikes registered. Now, they're not looking at foreigners, they're looking at the general population to get all these motorbikes that are unregistered, registered. All these people who drive, who don't have driver's license, they want to get everybody in compliance. And the only way you're going to get them into compliance is have some sort of fear out there. And the fear is all these checkpoints and impounding their vehicle and getting that vehicle back. Could be, $500, $600, $700, $800 or more, depending on how long it's been unregistered. And maybe you're like the fourth owner of this motorbike and no one's ever gotten the proper registration. You could end up having a bike that was declared stolen at some point. So make sure you keep everything registered, everything legal, see an attorney, know who an attorney is that you want to use. Find one, go see them, make an appointment, give them $40, $50, talk to them, get a file started and a phone number that you can call when you have a problem. Don't get into arguments with people. Don't get into arguments with Filipinos. It goes wrong. It goes wrong. Don't be that guy that ends up in jail. Until next time.